Hello neighbors and welcome back to the channel. I am Ariana and I am the therapist next door. So today's video is going to be why I think motivation is overrated and actually oftentimes holds people back from meeting their goals. So I've been in private practice for over 10 years now, and I've gotten to go along the journey with a lot of people that want to make changes in their life or have goals that they want to work towards. And of course, along the way, I've also been on my own journey of goals that I want to reach. And I've learned a lot about what works and what doesn't. What typically tends to happen, or what I see with a lot of people, and even with myself early on, is that we tend to get really excited when we have a new goal in mind, or we start to get really clear on what we want to accomplish or what we want to change. And that initial excitement oftentimes creates motivation. So think about like when people have New Year's resolutions, right? It's New Year, they feel like they're excited about making changes, whether it's related to weight loss or career goals or relationship goals. They feel really excited about having a new year, almost kind of resetting, refreshing, restarting. And so that excitement creates motivation. And so they'll start off really strong. They'll start off working out a lot initially, or working towards those resolutions or those goals that they had identified. But over time, that motivation wanes, and that's when people start to get defeated or they start to become stuck and they're not making a lot of progress towards their goals. One of the reasons why motivation is not a good tool necessarily for reaching your goals is because it's not a great strategy. It's not consistent. Motivation tends to fluctuate. It's kind of like waking up in a really good mood or finding that perfect parking spot. It's awesome when it happens, but it's just not going to happen all the time. It's not reliable. And when you're working on making changes in your life or reaching goals, you really need to have a reliable strategy. That's probably the most important thing that you can do. So let me get to what you can do instead of relying on motivation. So you're going to want to really implement 3 things. The first thing is purpose. I really want you to get clear on your why. Why is it that you want to reach this goal? Why is it that you want to make these changes? Write it down, talk it over, get really, really clear on why, how that's going to change your life, how that's going to change you, how that's going to benefit you, maybe even benefit other people, or maybe even benefit the world. You're going to want to have that why be very clear, because when the motivation fluctuates and you have those days where you're not feeling motivated, this is a really good thing to go back to and ask yourself, well, why am I doing this in the first place? And you can go back to those notes that you made and really get a little bit of juice there to remember why this is something that's really important for you to do. The second thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to use SMART goals. So SMART goals are specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time sensitive. This is another part of that strategy. So the more specific you can make your goals, the better. For example, let's say it is a fitness goal. Make it specific, meaning I'm going to work out twice a week. So there's really not anything vague about that. Like, oh, I'm going to work out more this week, or I'm going to work out more than I did last week. Just make it specific. Put a number on it that you could actually measure, which is the second one, measurable. Attainable. This is so important. So a lot of times, especially when people have that motivation initially, they will make their goals way too unrealistic. Like, these goals are just not able to be reached on a consistent basis. If it is a workout goal and you're like, I'm going to work out every single day, what ends up happening is that the first time that people don't meet that goal, they start to feel really defeated and discouraged to even continue to work on that goal. And then they get really stuck and they get into paralysis. So it's almost like if you were to climb a mountain, you're standing at the bottom and you're looking up and you're seeing how high it is, and you're just like, oh my gosh, I'm never going to get there. What's the point? So when you think about a goal that is attainable, you're going to want to not think about getting to the top of the mountain. You're going to want to think about just getting to that next level up of the mountain and not even kind of focus on anything else other than that next step. So that's really, really important. And this is something that can also be adjusted. So let's say that you set a goal to work out 4 times a week, and maybe after a few weeks you realize you're really only consistently going 3 times a week. That's a really good indicator that you probably just didn't set up that goal in a way where it was attainable, and that 3 times a week might actually be a better goal for you. That is something you're going to be able to attain consistently. consistently and over time. Relevant. So that really goes back to the why. Why are you working on this goal? Time sensitive is going back to my first example. So saying you're going to work out twice a week, or you're going to journal twice a week, or you're going to go on a date twice a week. You're making it specific where you can measure how often that activity happens over the course of time. So it's obviously either going to be within a day, a week, or a month, or even a year. I think the best way to look at this is on a daily to weekly, monthly way, preferably weekly, because I think that gives you enough time to work on your goals and also be able to reflect on what worked, what didn't work, and be able to make adjustments every single week as opposed to waiting a month and then you'll only have 12 chances a year. The next thing would be consistency and commitment. So there are just going to simply be days where you don't want to work on your goals or you don't want to do that thing that you set out to do. That's normal. That's fine. It's not anything that you need to get so wrapped up in or make too many meanings about. That's just a human quality. We're not always motivated to do hard things. So you want to give yourself grace for having these feelings and know that it's normal, but you also want to go back to your why, you want to go back to your SMART goal, and you want to just realize that if you want to meet this goal, you have to make a decision to do the steps that you need to in order to get to that goal. So for example, if you have that goal of doing X activity twice a week, and let's say that it's Tuesday, and maybe you had put it in your calendar that you were going to do it on this day. You can decide to change that, but make sure that you reschedule that activity for another day that week so you can still hit your goal. Now, there are going to be times where you're not going to meet your goal. You're going to fail. And the best thing that you can do for this is give yourself grace while holding yourself accountable. So you have to know that sometimes it's just not going to work and you're going to have a moment of weakness, or you're just not going to meet the goals that you set out to do every single week. The best thing you can do is not beat yourself up, not get into negative self-talk spirals, and just say, you know what, it wasn't a great week for my goal setting, but I know that I can do this and I'm gonna try again. Try to make that period of time between that happening and when you try again as short as possible. So just start over the next day or start over the next week, really and truly as soon as you possibly can, because that's really what successful people do. They just don't give up. So it's not that they're necessarily better at things or they're the best at what they do. It's that they just keep doing it even on the days where they didn't want to or they didn't have motivation. Another thing that will be really helpful is getting some support. So whether you do want to work with a coach or a therapist, or even telling your friends and family or your partner about what you're setting out to do and how you're doing that, can not only help you have that support. People are going to ask you, hey, how's it going with that goal that you have? But it also helps with accountability, because once you've shared it with people outside of yourself, then you know that other people are watching, and that's going to help you be accountable to yourself as well. So the next time that you find yourself not feeling so motivated, or you're waiting for motivation to do the thing that you want to do, I honestly encourage you to completely throw that out the window and try to think about other words like dedication, commitment, consistency as things that you want to reach for or strive for instead of being motivated all the time. I hope that this was helpful. Let me know what you guys think as always in the comments. I look forward to hearing from you. I will see you guys soon. Authentically yours, Ariana.